Hi, good morning. This is Dr.L.Shakeera, Assistant Professor Selection Grade, Department of Information Technology at B.S. Abdurrahman Crescent Institute of Science and Technology. Today my topic is Big Data Security Analytics. There are two buzzwords are popular today. One is big data analytics and then cyber security attacks. We are going to focus on both the domains, that is big data security analytics. So the overview of today's topic is these are all the things. So first we'll start with the security problems in computing. Then we will move on to the security breaches, cyber security attacks. Then knowing the security breaches and cyber security attacks, what is the main thing? So we need to achieve the security goals. We will see the security goals in big data security analytics and we will see how to achieve that. Then we will talk about the methods of defense. Then we will see the overview of big data analytics and the big data security part in the analytics. So to achieve the big data security analytics, we need to know the architecture, that is Hadoop operating system environment. So in that we will talk about the cluster architecture and then master slave architecture. Then finally we will talk about the hybrid approach, then end with the conclusion. So first we'll start with the security problems in computing. So first of all, in security side, what is the computing part? So if you are doing any processing by using the resources, it means that the assets. So what is the assets here? We can consider the hardware, software, data and people in the organization. We can call it as all the things are the resources. So by using the resources, we are doing some processing. So we can call it as this particular operation is called as the computing part. So the computing professional and managers, they do not recognize that what is going on in their organization. So mainly we need to concentrate on what is the cyber security threats are there in the organization. So the companies need to investigate and they need to act against the cyber security attacks. So first we need to know about the computing system. The another name for the computing system is the information system. It comprises of the hardware, software, data, people that the organizations are using to do the computation tasks. So what is the main target of the hackers in the organization? So we can call it as, that point is called as the target. So the main target is the openness of the organization. So anybody can access the organization resources at any time from anywhere. So this is the weakest point in the organization. So we need to take care of about this weakest point. So next we'll talk about the security breaches. So how the organizations are attacked by the hackers. So we need to know about the security breaches in the organization. What are the possibilities are there? The first one is the exposure. It means that it's a form of possible loss or harm in their data. And also the organization face the vulnerabilities, that is a weakness in their computing system, or we can call it as the information system. Then the organizations are facing the attacks in their data. We can call it as the information security threat. It means that the hackers are attempt to obtain, alter and destroy even though they are removing the data from the computing system. Then the organizations are facing the threat concept, that is called as human attacks, natural disaster and then errors. So in these threats, human attacks, it's an intentional part, but the natural disasters and errors are the unintentional part. So in this, we need to take care of the human attacks because it's an intentional attack by the hackers, that is malicious users. Then we need to give some controls against the threats, attack, vulnerability and exposure. So we need to apply some protective measures. Then finally, all these security breaches are applied to the assets in the form of hardware, software and then data. In cyber security, there are four main system security attacks are there. One is interruption, interception, modification and then fabrication. So what is that interruption? It means that our assets in the form of hardware, software, data and people. So the hackers are getting the data and this particular data are lost and unavailable or unusable to the data users between the two parties. This is called as interruption. What is that interception? The unauthorized parties can gain access to the assets. We can simply call it as, this one is the eavesdropping. They are getting the data from the authorized users. Say for example, if you are sending the mail from person A to person B. If the person A sends the hi message to the person B, so the hacker, that is a third party, can get the hi message without knowing to the person A, even though to the person B. So this process is called as the interception. This is one type of security attacks. The third security attack is called as the modification. It means that they are changing, that is, a hacker is changing the existing data. The fourth one is the fabrication. Say for example, the person A is sending the person B. So here person A and person B are authorized users. They are sending the true data to the person B. But the hacker getting the data through the communication channel, and they are adding the false data and they are sending the false data to the person B. So this process is called as the fabrication. So overall, there are four system security attacks are there. One is interruption, interception, modification, and then fabrication. By knowing the security breaches and system security attacks, so what is the main outcome by applying this big data security analytics? So we need to achieve the security goals. So security goals in the form of three things. We need to achieve confidentiality, integrity, and then availability. So confidentiality is only the authorized parties can access the assets. So they are having the valid user name and password. They are having the rights to access the data. So this is called as the confidentiality. Integrity part is, if the person A sends the data to the person B, then the data should not be modified between the communication channel by the hackers. The person B is also need to get the original data from the person A. So we need to maintain the originality of the data through the communication channel. This part is called as the data integrity. And availability of the data is, if the persons want to access the data from the data center resources, then the assets are always available and accessible by the authorized parties. So this is the three main security goals in cyber security. One is confidentiality, integrity, and then availability. So how to achieve these security goals? By applying the methods of defense in the form of encryption decryption algorithm. We can call it as encryption and decryption algorithms are cryptographic techniques, and we need to apply the controls in the form of software, hardware, and physical level controls. Then we need to apply the policies and regularities into organization. By using these 5 methods, we can achieve the security goals in the organization. So next we'll talk about the big data analytics before we are going to move to the security analytics part in the big data. What is big data? It means that there are huge amount of data are generated. That data are scalable. Diversity, we need to apply the diversity, and complexity require the new architecture, techniques, algorithm, and also we need to apply some analytics algorithm to manage the extracted value. From the extracted value, we can get the knowledge from the data. We can call it as the big data. The next one is, who is generating the big data? Myself, you people? Yes. All of them are generating the big data. Say for example, you people are using the social media networking every day. Say for example, you people are using WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. There are so many social media networkings are there. If you are posting the message in WhatsApp, if you are posting the video, if you are posting the images in the WhatsApp, all the things are called as the data. So where the data are stored? In the cloud? In virtual data center? Yes. So each and every second, the people are generating the data. Say for example, social media networks. So all of us are generating the data. Scientific instruments, they are collecting the sorts of data. Mobile devices, that is mainly used to track all the objects at all the time. Then sensor technology, the same work, they are measuring all kinds of data. So overall, the lots of data is being collected and warehoused. Say for example, we are collecting the data from web, e-commerce, and say for example, department grocery stores. For each and every purchase order, all the things we can call it as a data. Then bank, credit card transaction and social network, etc, etc. So each and every second, all the peoples are generating the data. We can call it as this huge amount of data is called as the big data. In that big data, nowadays they are using the analytics part to analyze the value of the data and get the knowledge from the data. We can call it as this process is the big data analytics. Then we'll move on to big data security analytics. What is that role of big data security analytics in cyber security? Simply, we can call it as the effective weapon against rising the cyber security attacks. If you want to eliminate the cyber security attacks in your organization, then you need to apply the big data security analytics. But nowadays, only 6% of companies are using this, the companies are exposed to the cyber security attacks. So companies are increasingly under the threat. 62% of digital security threats have increased nowadays. Now see this chart. What are the most important IT trends they are using now? The first place goes to big data. So 55% of the weightage goes to the big data. Then the next part is the IT security. This is for 53%. So the organization need to take care of this big data part and IT security part. So that is the reason only the 6% of companies know about what is big data security analytics part. Then by using this technique, they are avoiding the cyber security attacks. What is the importance of big data security analytics? Now see this chart. So today's in scenario, the big data security analytics is very important with only 21%, but in future that is the demand. 42% big data security analytics need to be known by the experts, right? So only 1 in 5 companies are using big data security analytics at this moment, but in future all of them has to apply this big data security analytics part. So how this big data security analytics it's related to the information security? We will see that. The main reason is the cyber security threats are rising each and every day, right? Even though the cyber security professionals are applying the hacking techniques to avoid the threats, but the hackers are thinking twice, thrice as much of the cyber security professional. So we need to take care of this cyber security threats in our organization. And there are huge amount of volumes of data are there. So to analyze the data, we need the analytics part. And the companies have rethink about the cyber security concept. Whatever they have applied in the past, that's all the things are we need to rethink about it. Then we need to talk about the security aspects when dealing with the information system. Then the organization need to use the new security tools. Big data security analytics, they are combining the data to predict the suspicious activity. One of the main important concept in big data security analytics is the prediction part. And by using the security analytics, they are also identifying the relevant incidents. What happened, right? So previously, so what should be happen in the future? So they are identifying the relevant incidents. And also they are generating the workflows to process the data. And finally, they are using the key findings from the big data security analytics report. So in these ways, the big data security analytics is related with the information security. So where does the big gap between the demand and reality come from? There are 5 biggest challenges still we are facing in real world. One is the data privacy and security part. Another one is the cost wise to execute any of the real-time projects, and also we need to analyze the relevant data, but most of the time we are not collecting the relevant data, right? So that is the main challenge. And inadequate analytical skills are there. Say for example, the people or experts don't know about so what to know and how to do that, right? So inadequate analytical skills are there, and lack of resources or investment to carry out this entire process. So these are all the 5 biggest challenges there in big data security analytics. But when big data security analytics is used, business can achieve the greater levels of business benefits by avoiding the cybersecurity attacks. So overall, we can say that we need to eliminate this 5 biggest challenge by using this big data security analytics part. Then obviously we can avoid the cybersecurity attacks in our organization. So what are the main key features to distinguish the big data security analytics from other information security domain? Because in earlier days we have talked about the cyber security, applied cryptography concept, the information security, then the security in form of network, security in form of operating system. So in all the forms we are seeing about the security parts. But now we need to identify what are the main key features are there in big data security analytics. Why we need to go for big data security analytics? One is scalability. The big data security analytics is mainly deal with the huge amount of data. It means that it will do the deep packet analysis in real and near real-time data. Then it also applies the reporting and visualization concept. It means that report and support understand the complex relationship in linked data sources, because in big data there are structured and unstructured data are there. So we need to find out the relationship between the data, and also we need to link the data sources. For that, the main feature is we need to know about the reporting and visualization part in big data security analytics. And the third key feature is the persistent big data storage. All the data are stored in Hadoop distributed file system. We can call it as the HDFS. So in HDFS we are applying the concept called MapReduce. MapReduce is mainly used for the computational model to do the batch processing. The fourth feature is the information context. So if you want to analyze the data once that is gathered, so we need to analyze the data in the form of users, devices, and then events. So we need to know about what is the context in between that data. Then finally, the feature of big data security analytics is the breadth of function. It means that if you want to apply this concept, we need to attain the software related security. So these are all the 5 important features of big data security analytics. If you want to apply this analytics part, that is a big data security analytics part, we need to know about the system architecture. For that, we need to know about the Hadoop operating system environment. So for that, the Hadoop, it uses the clustering concept. Cluster means it's a collection of nodes. The nodes, it will do the processing. So simply we can call it as a cluster. It comprises of many computers are work together as one system. So Hadoop cluster means it's a computer cluster used as the Hadoop. So what is the use of this Hadoop cluster? It's mainly used for storing the large amount of unstructured data in distributed file system. So Hadoop can live in few different environments. One is the in-house, managed, and then cloud. The in-house is the organization need to purchase the servers and they need to install the servers in their premises, and they need to do all the processing within their organization. This is called as in-house. The managed, it means that the organizations are renting the resources from the cloud service provider. They are not going to install their servers in their premises. They are going to just use the resources in the form of pay-per-use. Next one is the cloud management. So here, the organizations are using their virtual servers that may physically reside in many different locations in the cloud service provider part. One of the best example for Hadoop environment to access the cloud service provider is the Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. That is, we can call it as the EC2. Then the Hadoop cluster architecture. It consists of the data center. Data center consists of rack. Rack consists of the nodes. So the Hadoop cluster consists of 3 components. One is the master node, slave or worker node, and then client node. So the main concept here in that Hadoop cluster is the master node. The name itself, it has a meaning. That is, the main responsible is it needs to store the data in HDFS environment, and also it needs to do the parallel computation by using the MapReduce computation model. The MapReduce has 3 nodes. One is the name node, secondary name node, and then job tracker. So the job tracker, it will do the parallel processing of that data using MapReduce model. The name node, it will handle the data storage function in HDFS part. It handles all track of informations on the files. Then the secondary node, it keeps the backup of the name node data. So what is the use of the slave and worker node? So slave and worker node is mainly responsible for storing the data and performing the computation. So here the slave and worker node, it contains two things. One is the task tracker, another one is the data node service. So data node service is secondary to the name node, that is in the master node part. Task tracker service is a secondary to the job tracker, that is also in the master node service. Then finally, the client node part. So client node has Hadoop installed with all required cluster configuration setting. This is mainly responsible for loading the data into the Hadoop cluster. So the client node, initially it submits the MapReduce job. It describes how the data needs to be processed and how the output is retrieved from the client node once the job processing is completed. So initially the client node need to do the processing part, that is the submission of data. Then after that has to be taken care by the master node by using the three things. One is a job tracker, name node, and then secondary name node. So this is the architecture of Hadoop master slave architecture. So master node, it contains two things. One is the name node and job tracker, and slave node, it contains two things. One is the task tracker and then data node. So data node is responsible, that is related to the name node, and task tracker is responsible, that is related to the job tracker in the master node. The MapReduce jobs are running inside the slave node parts. Then, so until we have discussed about the Hadoop cluster architecture, initially we have started with the system architecture, master node, master slave node, and then client node. By combining all the things, we need to talk about the hybrid approach. So hybrid approach is that uses the aspects of both physical and logical network segmentation. So we are going to implement this hybrid approach through virtual local area networks, that is the VLAN. So what is a VLAN? It comprises of multiple network subnets to share the physical switches. Suppose, say for example, Hadoop cluster that resides on its own network segment. So how the segments can be protected? So mainly there are two things we need to use. One is we need to apply the network firewalls, and also we need to apply the intrusion detection and then prevention system, that is IDS and then IPS. So finally, so big data, we are collecting the large amount of data from the different sources for each and every second. So in that concept, we need to apply the analytics part to analyze, to know about the value of the data, to get the knowledge from the data. In this concern, the organizations are using that data in all the forms. So we need to protect our information system, that is computation system, to avoid the cybersecurity attacks from the hackers. So in this way, we need to apply the big data security analytics. So the security related informations are available from big data, mainly that reduces the time required to detect and resolve an issue, and also it mainly uses for the cyber analysis to predict and avoid the possibilities of intrusion. So big data analytics for cybersecurity is an important concern in today's era. If you apply the security analytics part, then in your organization, we can avoid the cybersecurity attacks. Thank you.